Hello friends and welcome to YouTube channel on Engineering Mathematics by Dr. Navneet. Friends, in this video lecture we are going to learn the concept which is called as vector differentiation. Under this vector differentiation concept, our main focus is on finding the divergence and curl of a vector. So this concept is also called as del applied to vector point function. So friends, before solving example based on this concept, let me first introduce the definition of divergence and curl of a vector point function. So now friends, the definition of divergence is that let f bar is equal to f1i plus f2j plus f through k be any vector point function, then del dot f bar. So we know the definition of del. Definition of del is I time partial derivative with respect to x plus j time partial derivative with respect to y plus k time partial derivative with respect to z. Its dot product with f vector f, which is f1i plus f2j plus f3k. If we take the dot product, then take the product of coefficient of I term, which is partial derivative of f1 with respect to x, partial derivative of f2 with respect to y, and partial derivative of f3 with respect to z. So that's why del dot f bar, this is called as divergence of vector field f, and which is defined as partial derivative of f1 with respect to x plus partial derivative of f2 with respect to y and partial derivative of f3 with respect to z. So friends, in this definition we denote this divergence by div of f bar, or we write this as del dot f bar. So if we write the notation del phi, this indicate the gradient of phi. So there is no term in between del and phi. This is gradient of phi. If dot is there, then this is called as divergence of a phi. So friends, in this definition, the term ijk, that means unit vector along x, y and z axis, is absent. That's why this is the scalar point function, and this definition is called as divergence of a vector. So this is the first definition. Now in this definition, if the after calculation the value of divergence of f bar, if we get the answer of that term as 0, that means divergence of f bar, which is also called as del dot f bar, is equal to 0, then such a vector field is called as solenoidal vector field. So this is the important definition. We are solving the example based on this solenoidal vector field, and try to understand that del dot f bar is not equal to f bar dot del. So now next, second definition is that curl of a vector point function. So let's define the vector by f bar is equal to f1i plus f2j plus f3k be any vector point function, then curl is obtained by taking the cross product of del cross f bar. So we know the concept of cross product. After taking the cross product of this del operator, so this operator and this L, that means after taking the cross product of these two terms, we obtain this term as determinant of first row is related to the unit vector ijk, then partial derivative with respect to x, with respect to y, with respect to z, then f1, f2, f3. So if we evaluate this determinant, then we get answer with unit vector as ijk. So that's why this vector field is called as, so then this curl of a vector f bar is called as vector point function, because we are getting answer with unit vector ij and k. So this definition is called as curl of vector, and which is denoted by the term curl of f bar or del cross f bar. So now friends, please try to understand that if after calculating the value of del cross f bar, that means curl of f bar, if this answer is 0, then such a vector field is called as irrotational, or some people may call this as conservative vector field. So we are solving the example based on this theory part. So now before going to the example, so please try to understand the difference between notation. If we write this as del phi, so this is phi is scalar function, so there is no term between del and phi. But if we write this del dot f bar, then this is the definition of divergence. And if we write cross in between these two terms, then this is the definition of curl of a vector. So this is the difference between these these three terms. Now friends, here we just learned the two important concept, which is called as divergence of a vector point function and curl of a vector point function. And these are two important remarks. So based on this theory part, let's take the first example. So first example is if phi is equal to x cube plus y cube plus z cube minus 3xyz, then question is find the value of divergence of f bar and curl of f bar. But here f is not given, this is the value of phi. So but here condition is that where f bar is defined as del phi. So this del phi denote the gradient of phi. So now let's first find out the value of f bar. So f bar is equal to del phi. So this f bar denote del phi, and we know the value of phi. After getting this f bar value, we can easily find divergence and its curl according to these two definition. So now divergence of phi, which is defined as partial derivative of phi with respect to x plus z time partial derivative of phi with respect to y plus k time partial derivative of phi with respect to z. Let me take this partial derivative with respect to I, j, k. We can write this as I, then partial derivative of this phi term with respect to x is 3x square. This is 3x square minus 3yz plus j. Take the derivative with respect to y, we get this as 3y square minus 3xz plus k. Then again take the partial derivative with respect to z, we get this as 3z square minus 3xy. So in this way we get the value of f bar, and which is defined as gradient of phi, and this is the value of vector f bar. This is the vector point function because I, j, k term is present. Now friends, our next aim is to find out the divergence of f bar. So here, so we know the definition of divergence of f bar. So according to this definition, we can write this term as, so partial derivative of f1 with respect to x plus partial derivative of f2 with respect to y and partial derivative of f3 with respect to z. Now friends, we know that we are denoting the given vector as f bar is equal to f1i plus f2j plus f3k. So if we observe the vector f here, so then this is the value of your f1, this is the value of f2, and this is the value of f3. Now we can write this as partial derivative of f1. That means take the derivative of this function with respect to x. So we get this partial derivative with respect to x as 3 to the 6x. Then here x is absent. Now take the derivative of this function with respect to y. We can write this as 6y. Then again take the derivative of this function with respect to z. We can write this as 6z. So which is equal to, after taking 6 common, we get this as x plus y plus z. So this is the value of divergence of f bar. So this is the question. This is the answer related to the first question. Now let's try to solve the value for this curl of f bar. So this is first question. Now second, curl of vector f bar, and this curl of f bar is defined as, so according to this definition we can write this as I, j, k partial derivative with respect to x, y, z, f1, f2, f3. So if we apply this formula, then we get this as I partial derivative with respect to x of f1, j partial derivative with respect to y of f2, and k partial derivative with respect to z of f3, and which is defined as, so again we can write this as I partial derivative with respect to x of f1. So value of f1 is here 3x square minus 3yz, then j partial derivative with respect to y of, this is 3y square minus 3xz, k partial derivative with respect to z of 3z square minus 3xy. Now to find out the curl of a vector means find out the determinant of this term. So if we try to simplify this term, then we get this as I. Then while evaluating this determinant, so take the partial derivative of this term with respect to y, and this term is minus 3x. Then again take the derivative of this term with respect to z, we get this as minus, so this is minus 3x, again this is minus 3x, so this minus minus become plus 3x minus z. Then again take the derivative of this function with respect to x, which is given as minus 3y, and take the derivative of this function with respect to z, so we get this as minus 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 become plus 3y plus k time, so value of this derivative with respect to x of this term, which is minus 3z, and derivative of this term with respect to y is minus minus become plus 3z. So here we get this as 0i, because these two terms will get cancelled, so 0i, this is again 0, so we can write this as 0z. This is also 0, so we can write this as 0k, or sometimes we may call this as 0 vector. So 0 vector denote 0i plus 0z plus 0k. That means curl of given vector f bar is 0. So this is the first question related to the divergence and curl. Now let's take the second example. Now friends, second example is if f bar, this f bar is the vector which is defined as x square z I minus 2y cube z cube z plus x y square z square k. This is the vector, and question is find the divergence of f bar and curl of f bar at the point 1, minus 1 and 1. That means after getting answer of divergence and curl, in particular put x is equal to 1, y is equal to minus 1 and z is equal to 1. Now friends, if we try to solve this question for divergence of f bar, then according to this definition of divergence of f bar, we can write this as partial derivative of f1 with respect to x plus partial derivative of f2 with respect to y, and partial derivative of f3 with respect to z. So if we compare this function f bar, which is f1i plus f2z plus f3k with this function, then this is the value of f1, then this is the value of f2, and this is the value of f3. So we can write its derivative of this function with respect to x as 2xz. Again we can write partial derivative of f through with respect to y as minus 6y square z cube. So this is the value of partial derivative of f2 with respect to y. Then next is partial derivative of this term with respect to z, and which is given as 2x y square z. So this is called as divergence of f bar. Then this divergence of f bar at the point 1, minus 1, 1, which is given as, so this is 2 into 1 into 1, that means this is 2 plus here we can write this as minus 6 into this is 1, again this is 1 plus again this is 2 into 1 into 1 into 1. So finally we get the answer of this term as 2 minus 6, this is 2 minus 6 and plus 2. So finally we get this answer as minus 2. So this is the value of divergence of vector at the point 1, minus 1 and 1. Now next question is to find out the curl of f bar. So curl of f bar, which is defined as I partial derivative with respect to x. So this is the definition of curl of vector ijk partial derivative with respect to x, y, z, f1, f2, f3. So now here we can directly write the answer. So value of f1 is, this is x square z, then z partial derivative with respect to y of minus 2 y cube z cube, then k partial derivative with respect to z of, this is x y square, then z square. Now friends, our aim is to find out the curl of vector f bar, that means to evaluate this determinant. So if we try to evaluate this determinant, then we get this as I. Now take the derivative of this function, this term with respect to y, so we get this as 2xy z square, because here when we take the partial derivative with respect to y, x and z is constant. Then take the derivative of this function with respect to z, so here minus, then this minus become plus, then this is 3 to the 6 y cube z square minus j. Again take the derivative of this term with respect to x, which is y square z square. Then again take the derivative of this function with respect to z, which is minus x square plus k. Then again take the derivative of this function with respect to x, so derivative of this function with respect to x is 0 minus derivative of this function with respect to y is 0. So this is the value of curl of f bar, which is given here. Now our aim is to find out this curl at the point 1, -1 and 1. So we can write this as curl of f bar at the point 1, -1 and 1, which is given as. So put x is equal to 1, y is equal to -1 and z is equal to 1. So we get this as I, then this is 2 into 1 into -1, again into 1 plus this is 6, then this is into -1, because y cube is there, so -1 its cube is -1, and z square is 1, so this is the value of I. Then minus j, y square, that means this is 1 into z square is 1 minus x square is 1, so plus this is 0 k. So moreover we can write this as this is -2, so we can write this as -2, then this is -6 into I minus, so this is minus become plus, this is 1 and -1, this is 0, so we can write this as 0j. So finally we got this answer as -8i. So this is the answer related to the curl of vector at the point 1, -1 and 1. So now friends, let's take the third example. So friends, here the third example is so find the value of curl of a bar, that means twice find the curl of a bar, where vector a bar is given as x square yi minus 2xzj plus 2yzk. Now friends, here generally we are denoting vector by so the term some people denote this vector by a bar, some people denote this by v bar, so these are the different notation to denote the vector. Now here a notation for vector is a bar, that means this is the value of a1, this is the value of a2, this is the value of a3, so similar to that of f1. Now friends, here so first find out the value of curl of a bar. If we try to find the value of curl of a bar, then according to the definition, curl of vector is defined by this term. If we write this, then we get this as I time partial derivative with respect to x of a1. So value of a1 is here x square y j, then partial derivative with respect to y of minus 2xz, then k partial derivative with respect to z of 2yz. Now friends, our next aim is to evaluate this determinant. We can evaluate this determinant by I. Then take the solution of this determinant by taking partial derivative of this term with respect to y, which is 2z. So we can write this 2z minus, take the derivative of this function with respect to z. We write this as minus 2x. So this minus become plus 2x minus j. Then friends, take the derivative of this function with respect to x, which is 0 minus derivative of this function with respect to z is again 0 plus k. Then take the derivative of this function with respect to x, which is minus 2z minus take the derivative of this function with respect to y, which is x square. So now friends, this is the value of our curl of a bar. So question is again curl of a bar. So once again find out the value of curl of curl of A bar, which is equal to. Now here, so this is the value of your f. So according to this curl of F bar, we can write this definition where the value of f is curl of A bar, and which is defined by this function. So if we compare this f with this curl of F bar, then this is the value of f1, f2 and f3. So we can write its determinant as, so if we write its determinant, then we get this as I time partial derivative with respect to x of f1, which is 2z plus 2x, then z time partial derivative with respect to y of this term is 0, then k time partial derivative with respect to z of minus 2z minus x square. Now our next aim is to evaluate this determinant. So we can write this as I, then take the derivative of this term with respect to y, which is 0 because y term is absent, minus take the derivative of this function with respect to z, which is 0, minus j. Then friends, again take the derivative of this function with respect to x, so we get this as minus 2x, minus take the derivative of this function with respect to z, we get this as 2, minus 2, because derivative with respect to z is 2, so this is constant. Then plus k, then we get this as partial derivative with respect to x is 0, minus partial derivative of this term with respect to y is again 0. That means finally we get this as minus j into minus 2x minus 2. So here this is the value of our curl of A bar. Now friends, our next aim is to find out the value of curl of A bar at the point 1, 0 and 2. So we can write this as 1, 0 and 2, and this value is minus j. Now put the value of x is equal to 1 only, so which is minus 2 into 1 minus 2, so we get this as minus j into this is minus 2 and minus 2 minus 4, so we get this as 4j. So this is the final answer corresponding to the curl of A bar at the point 1, 0 and 1. So now let's take the next example. Now friends, next example is vector f bar is given as x plus y plus 1 into I plus j minus x plus y into k, and question is that prove that the value of curl of F bar dot product with again F bar is 0. So now for first aim is to find out the value of curl of F bar. So if we try to find the value of curl of F bar, then according to this definition we can write this as a determinant. So this determinant, so this is I partial derivative with respect to x of f1. So here the value of f1 is x plus y plus 1, then j partial derivative with respect to y, then this value is f2, and value of f2 is 1, then k partial derivative with respect to z of minus x minus y, after taking this minus to the inner side. So now find out its determinant. So we can write this as I, its derivative with respect to y is minus 1, then minus this term is 0 minus j, then take the derivative of this function with respect to x is minus 1, minus the derivative of this function is 0 plus k, then derivative of this function with respect to x is 0 minus 1. So we can write this as minus I plus j minus k. So this is the value of curl of F bar. Now our aim is to take the dot product of this term with respect to F bar. So therefore F bar dot curl of F bar is equal to, so value of F bar is here we can write this value as F bar is x plus y plus 1 into I plus j minus this is x plus y into k. So this is the value of F bar. It's a dot product with curl of F bar. Value of curl of F bar is minus I plus j minus k. We can write this dot product. We know that how to take the dot product. So while taking the dot product, So take the product of I term coefficient, take the product of JJ term coefficient and product of KK term coefficient. So here, so this is x plus y plus 1, product with minus 1, we get this as minus x minus y minus 1. So this is the first term, its addition with JZ term coefficient product, which is 1 into 1 is 1. Then again product of these two terms, so this is minus minus become plus, we get this as minus minus plus, and this is x plus y. So then friends, this minus x plus x minus y plus y minus 1 plus 1 will get cancelled, and finally we reach to the answer as 0, and which is our requirement. So friends, here we solve some example for understanding the concept of divergence and curl. So in our next video lecture, we are solving the example based on this solenoidal and rotational, irrotational and conservative vector field. Now time is to take some example for your practice purpose. Now friends, here time is to test your knowledge. So for your practice purpose, total 6 examples are given along with their answer. Now friends, here first example or more here in this whole exercise, so aim is to find out divergence and curl of a vector point function. So first function is f bar is 3x square I plus 5xyz plus xyz cube k. Find out the divergence and curl at the point 1, 2 and 3. That means in particular put x is equal to 1, y is equal to 2 and z is equal to 3. Then this is the answer for divergence, which is 65, and curl is 27i minus 18j minus 10k. First question. Now second is f bar is xyzi plus 3x square yj plus xz square minus y square zk at the point 2 minus 1, 1. So answer of divergence is 40 and curl is 2i minus 3j minus 10k. Now third question is f bar is given as x square plus yzi plus y square plus zxj plus xz square plus xyk. Then divergence is 2x plus 2y plus 2z and value of curl is 0. Now fourth one is the vector is denoted by a bar. If vector a bar is defined as x square zi minus 2y cube z square j plus x y square z k, then find out the dot product of this del dot f bar. That means find out the divergence of this term at the point 1, minus 1 and 1, and its answer is minus 3. And last two questions are, if the vector a bar is defined as del xy plus yz plus zx, that means find out the gradient of this function, del into this term. That means this is same as that of the gradient. Then after finding the gradient of this function, you will get new term, and let's denote that new term by some another function, that function which is called as a bar. Then find out the divergence and curl of this vector point function. And last question is that vector v is given as xyzi plus 3x square yj plus xz square minus y square z into k. Again find out the divergence and curl of this vector. So solve this simple 6 example and test your knowledge. So friends, I hope you people like this lecture. So thanks to one and all. Thank you.